We're going to switch gears now and talk briefly with John Ratcliffe, former director of national intelligence. And John, there's a lot to talk about because of the president's speech. We won't have as much time as I was hoping, but let's start with what happened in New York today, because national security, which you were involved in, does begin on our own city streets. But we have a DHS director who said just last Friday that the biggest danger to national security was white supremacism, which, of course, what happened in New York today had nothing to do with white supremacists. Is the administration going the wrong direction as far as crime is concerned and national security?
Well, I mean, I think that's obvious to anyone that turns on the TV and sees the crime wave that has existed across the country and the chaos at our southern border. Not to mention all the national security, debacles overseas, what's happening at home, by reversing the Trump policies at our border and allowing, these woke prosecutors as much rope as they need in cities like Chicago and Detroit and New York. So, that crime wave is upon us, and it's a direct result of the Biden administration policies. Fortunately, this terrible event that happened in New York City today, some of the best folks that we have in law enforcement are on the Joint Terrorism Task Force. I would expect that this shooter would be identified in short order based on, eyewitness interviews and surveillance tapes, and I think we'll know what the motivations for this person. It is a minor miracle that 10 people were shot and none of the folks appear to be their
life is not in danger. Yeah, five we should mention are in critical condition, but they are expected to survive, which is good news. But again, we have it's not just the president. I mean, we have all these Democratic cities that have elected mayors and that have governors in them, the entire state, like Governor Hochul here in New York, who defend these horrible new bail laws that essentially let criminals out over and over and over again. She just defended those bail laws, by the way, saying in 2019, the state legislature enacted landmark reforms to our bail laws. The reforms were successful. Fewer New Yorkers are kept behind bars just because they can't pay, and we've saved taxpayer dollars in the process. Well, you don't save any money with all the crime that's going on in New York.
Well, and not just New York. Look across the country. I mean, and I think that's reflected in no matter what the administration tries to spin on this. This is why not just Joe Biden, but Democrats are upside down. This is why everyone sees that there's going to be a beating that takes place in the midterm elections, and it's the aggregate of all of these terrible decisions: crime, the illegal aliens and illegal drugs coming through our southern border, all of the national security issues, as you talked about, David, here at home, all compounded by one disaster after another overseas, Afghanistan, now what's happening in Ukraine, and so on and so forth.
There's a link here, and the link is that we keep hearing rhetoric about crime and so forth, but we don't see any action. We don't see crime going down because the real policies haven't been changed that cause that crime, the recidivism, et cetera. And with Ukraine, we keep hearing about war crimes committed by Putin, but have we seen any action on that? I mean, there hasn't been any real action in terms of trying to hold him accountable for those war crimes.
Well, the problem is the Biden administration, in terms of holding Putin accountable, they have a different goal than many of the folks that are watching what's happening in Ukraine. I mean, I thought Vladimir Zelensky's interview on 60 Minutes was an indictment of the Biden approach to all of this with respect to Putin. To make him pay, Zelensky wants to drive him from the country. And, what he said in that interview was, to win, I gave President Biden a list of what I needed to do that. And then he went on to say, this diplomacy is destroying my country. This diplomacy is preventing me from driving the Russians from the country. Look, the folks that worked for me in the intelligence community, the folks that worked with me in the Pentagon tell me that, Biden has been pushing Zelensky for a deal. He wants a political solution. He wants Putin's oil, along with Iranian oil, along with any oil from any adversary or any ally on the open market as quickly as possible, because he's got so much trouble here domestically with the cost of energy in this country through the policies that he has created. He wants any oil except American oil, and that's the solution that Joe Biden is looking for and pushing for. So, his primary goal isn't to punish Vladimir Putin. It's for Ukraine to make concessions that Vladimir Zelensky isn't willing to make. He's in it to win it, and that's not the approach of the Biden administration, and that's why they're not getting the equipment they need to win.
Just talking is something that Putin wants, because he uses it, as General Keane said here yesterday, he uses those talking sessions in order to regroup his troops, to get them back, give them the rest they need, to provide the equipment they need to go in and attack more cities in Ukraine.
Look, there many of us that are in the national security field see what Vladimir Zelensky sees for his country in Ukraine, which is a window of opportunity for a counteroffensive against Russia to win. That's something that no one saw, 50 days ago, but it's there now. And what he needs, instead of anti-tank missiles, he needs tanks. He needs artillery. He needs air support to defend those tanks. He needs planes. He needs, air defense systems to support those planes to go on the offensive to win. And that is the solution we should be looking for, because that is good for our national security in the long term. Unfortunately, the Biden administration is looking for a short-term political solution to enhance the position of Joe Biden and Democrats in this country right now, by alleviating the cost of gas on the and oil and gas on the international markets. They're looking for a political solution that makes their life better in the short term, instead of what's good for the United States and the world in the long term.
John Ratcliffe, you were very kind to stand by while the president was speaking. You were supposed to be on a lot earlier. Thank you for your time today.